I don't know, but that's a perfect place for
We're going to go ahead and call this regular council meeting to order. Clerk will do roll call.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Benj?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver will be leading us in prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together tonight to conduct city service and city business. Lord, we just ask for your direction tonight in making the proper decisions, and we ask for your guidance, Lord. It's these things we ask in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next thing we have on the agenda, or was added to the agenda, is Somerset Community College is here to speak about some things, and I think Ortega has got some information.
I would like to introduce Somerset Community College Laurel Campus Director Travis McQueen and Somerset Community College President and CEO Dr. Castle.
I need the mic or can I just...
Please.
Well, thank you all for having me here tonight. My name is Carrie Castle. I'm president for Somerset Community College. Today, excuse me, we were visited in a meeting by council member. He's a wonderful thing. I don't know how to use it. There we go. With Councilman Ortega and the county executive judge to talk over a new building that we are putting in on our campus off the Highway 192. That's called the Somerset Community College Laurel Campus North. We are adding a technology building to that campus, and we are in the middle of the architectural review for it. And it is going on the parcel of land that is just adjacent to the library. And there is some jointly owned property between the city and the county that was offered for transfer to the college that will sincerely help us complete that project over the next year and a half to 2 years. We are excited about this opportunity to bring a new technical building to the city and to the county. I believe it's going to have a lot of impact on the people here. I hope so. We will be teaching everything from welding, automotive, diesel, advanced manufacturing, electrical, electronics, construction, and some future use things that we're still going through within the college. It's 60,000 square feet, a two-story building, be built into the side of that track, and this property will help extend that towards the railroad tracks on the back side of the property and give us an opportunity to build an even more pleasing building for the community, as well as for what we think will be a good community improvement and draw a lot of students as well. I'm here to answer any questions you might have concerning the building, the tract, and then whatever Councilmember Ortega brings up with you in the group.
I did provide the mayor and the other council members the map from our meeting, and it's that parcel between the railroad tracks and TLC Lane, which is behind the current piece of land. It's about, I would say, less than 4 acres. Like Dr. Castle said, Judge Westerfield was at the meeting today, and he's going to take back this information to the fiscal court, and their meeting's at 8:45 Monday.
You need a motion to approve to give it to him?
Well, he was wanting to wait, but one thing we will have to do is open up TLC Lane. You know, that road was closed. So,
You mean there where the railroad tracks are, have to open that
yeah.
crossing?
and I'm not finding an ordinance that showing that that's been done, but we are searching back to make sure. If there's no ordinance, I'll still just ask for your guys' motion to open that back up, but I'm not seeing anything at this time showing anything on that. So we need to open that up
Are
to
we-
allow them to have a little bit more better
What-
flow through
You got any
there.
connections with the railroad?
Yeah, are we gonna have to?
I think
No, I
that's the
don't.
stumbling block, isn't it?
Hoping you will.
I hope it can. I hope you can.
Yeah,
you know.
we'll talk to CSX and everybody about the railroad tracks. It's just right now trying to find out the legalities, whether or not an ordinance closed it or if it was just closed.
Is that gonna keep you from building in one way or the other?
No, we're going to move forward with the building either way. This is just going to enhance that project and hopefully make it that much better.
Be nice to open it.
I can't speak for the fiscal court, but I believe the county would like to move forward with this. Like I said, their meeting's at 8:45 Monday. We'll know more by then. Unless there's any more questions
So you
for
don't need any
Dr.
motions
Castle.
tonight? Nothing.
How do you guys feel about it?
Sounds
It
great.
sounds
great.
wonderful.
I
know
think it's
a
great. I made a
wetland and-
Facebook post. They're doing everything from HVAC to CDL to construction technology to welding to diesel technology. I mean, it's going to be great. It's a $30 million facility, hopefully groundbreaking in spring of '26, 60,000 square foot facility. I think it's a blessing.
We have
To come to
needed a
London.
new technical school, so that'd be great.
So you
We
currently,
agree with you.
Yeah.
you're currently here at the, behind the high school?
Yes, that's
Still in
that building was here when I got here 7 years ago, and I was mentioning it in this earlier today. You know, the state works, it may work slow for some of you, but for us, it's even slower. So it's been a long project. We are really, really excited to get it done and bring it to this area as well.
That would be great for the children in our community too, because we all know that not everyone is going to college. But technical school is something they will talk about. And we are losing a generation of people, plumbing, builders, and all that, so that just sounds awesome.
It was nice. We went to school there in high school. Do they still do that? The high school students still go?
Oh, yes, we have matriculation from the high school
I
as
took
well.
two different things there. I liked it. Still went to college, but still.
And it is college.
I learned
You know,
well.
I want to clarify, it is college.
Yeah,
may
it
be
is
technical,
college,
but it's a
right.
college program, so it's credit bearing, and there are some awards that come out of that as well.
Yes.
I wish I'd taken more of it, just to learn.
Our next regular meeting is Monday, August 4th. We could wait till then. We can call a special call meeting. We could make a motion to move forward contingent on the fiscal court now.
I'm fine with it. I'll make a motion that we allow them to have the property.
Second it.
Down to the railroad tracks, right? Got a motion and a second.
Well, you're not giving them the TLC drive. That will still be our
Right.
lane. That'll be still our responsibility.
Just the part that's the
Yeah.
wooded area. I mean, you know, it's got restrictions, I guess,
We got a
but
second
still,
motion.
pretty
Yep,
area.
Ms. Green did.
Yeah, they'll have to get it surveyed and all that. They're going to work with the county and
Yeah, I know Don McFadden's office has been working on that. I've talked to him several times. You do your roll call?
Mr. Ortega?
yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Benj?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Thank you all very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
time
Thank you,
talking.
Dr.
Thank
Castle.
you.
Next thing on the agenda is Chris Robinson. We have him talk about the fairgrounds.
Thank you all. As you all know, we're well underway with our Fairgrounds project that's been in the works for a couple of years. You're also well aware of the destruction that took place in the tornado in May. Christina Souders was hired by our commission in late April, started early May to see this project to completion and start the events that were there to start the following week after the tornado. Of course, all of that came to a halt quickly. Just to update you on the insurance, there are two policies. There are the city policy, the KLC, that has the enclosed structures, and then our policy has the what we call open air structures, the lighting, the fencing, the pavilions. We're working through the claims of both of those. KLC will have an engineer on site to help us with those estimates tomorrow. What I'm here today to talk about is, our project is well under construction. We've been working through our loan documents with Cumberland Valley for months. And just, and that loan is tied to the restaurant tax, which obviously funds our program. And, but since the city owns the property, the mayor does have to sign the documents for acknowledging that we are building on city property with this loan tied to it. So I'm just making you all aware of that, full disclosure on that, and answer any questions you may have. It's going to be a great project. We look forward to the opportunities we have there. And I wish we could be talking about all the good things moving forward. We will be building something back. We have to have the bathrooms back, obviously. We have to have storage back, obviously. So we're hoping to put all of that into one structure to simplify that with the recovery funds from the insurance. But it has made a great project, just a little more complicated. So,
How much money are you talking about, Chris?
our loan is approved for up to $5 million, but we hope to not be spending that unless, and I'm speaking from what I'm looking at currently, unless the insurance funds don't help the full cost of replacing what we have to replace.
So the bid that the guy received was about $4.5 million on the work that you're doing currently. That's just for excavation. And now that the buildings are gone, which unfortunately, is there someone putting together a new plan?
We're working on
A new
a new
design?
plan. We're also working, it's hard for us to plan when we don't know how much we will get with the insurance. KLC has been wonderful. The adjuster through Collins and Company has been wonderful. They're trying to help us. What they're trying not to make us do is issue, since we don't know what we will build back just yet, they don't want us to have to, we don't have renderings or construction documents on any of those structures that were lost. So we're going by, thankfully, David Zacco had wonderful pictures that were taken just months before the tornado. So we have those as they were, and then a lot of just institutional knowledge of what we lost. And but that's why KLC is sending that engineer, because they use their cost estimate as the best cost estimate, and they're probably on par or a little higher than what our local estimates would be.
So
What
they'll
kind of loan is this?
The loan through Cumberland Valley it's essentially a mortgage for up to 30 years.
It's not a line of credit.
It's not a line of credit.
What's the collateral? What will be used as collateral? The property itself.
And our budgets, our good financials for the last, I think, we provided 3 years.
So is the KLC tell you how they're gonna reimburse you for the damage?
They don't.
Are they gonna reimburse
they're
the
not
city?
that far. Yeah, they'll reimburse the city for those that were lost, and they'll reimburse us for our part that was lost. And hopefully we will all work together to make it
When
work.
do you anticipate having the new plans completed? It's a big design.
We're ready by September, August, because we have to have it built by next May. We're putting off a whole year.
You're talking about the building,
Yeah,
the coverage structure. Why does it have to be built by next May?
because
Is
we
there-
can't open the new pavilion without bathrooms.
Right. You have to have the bathrooms built by
We
next
have to
May,
have
right?
bathrooms.
I didn't know if there was a time limit on the company that's building the building or something.
Have we had any cost overruns on what we've done so far out there?
Things have worked pretty well. I mean, there's been a few things that have popped up, as you know, with excavation.
Yeah.
But nothing that's been too much.
Who's the other insurance policy through? You got one through KLC and
Oh,
who's?
both policies are through KLC.
Oh, both of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And thankfully, it's been the same adjuster.
Good deal.
It's just, item A is through the city's policy, item B is through the tourism's policy.
Okay.
And that happened when our SDGE compliance in 2021, we divided the policy.
Has this pushed back your opening timeframe?
Say again?
Has this pushed back your opening timeframe to?
Well, it's pushed back the opening of the new pavilion because we can't have it without the bathrooms, so, yeah.
Any other questions for Chris?
Chris, do you all have a
Chris.
copy of the loan documents by any chance?
I don't have them with me.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is Kim Collier with the World Chicken Festival.
World Chicken Festival, yay! Got some maps for you guys, just so you know.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. Good to see y'all's happy faces today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Are you Larry?
Okay, how are you?
All right. We're just here tonight to discuss the World Chicken Festival and get your nod of approval for the same setup and things that we do every year. There's not going to be any new street closures, nothing new at all, just the same as what we always do. And the map I gave you is the street closures and where things are located. The final map will have the vendor list on it, and we'll have big ones printed to go throughout the festival. One thing that we're going to do different this year that I thought was a good idea, it was actually Stacy's idea.
Hey,
Give you credit, Stacy.
thanks.
We're going to do seating areas in various locations for people to be able to sit down and eat, because there's really not any unless you sit at the center stage. I mean, that's really not a good place to sit. And I thought that was an excellent idea.
Yeah. We had some last year, had a whole lot of picnic tables, but thanks to tourism for that. I don't know if you know you did that, but you did.
He actually hauled.
I carried them,
Yeah.
every one of them.
They were heavy.
Anyway, and we are opening the skillet up on Sunday this year.
The skillet will be open on Sunday. Some of our board members wanted to try that. We'll see how it works, but we're going to give it a try.
It's Chicken Day.
I'm seeing, I think they're little sawhorses that you've drawn.
Yeah.
Chicken Day. Maybe
And on
somebody come
8th
up.
Street, and this has been, we ran into a little problem last year, and Donnie helped us out with it. We have an agreement, there's a parking lot right behind, that belongs to the church,
Yep.
that's right behind Edward's law office. But that parking lot belongs to the
Yes.
church.
Yes.
And we've had an agreement with the church, or with the Chicken Festival since the beginning, that we have access to that parking lot. In return, the church keeps the fellowship hall open for vendors, first responders. It's kind of they call it the nest. And I think last year we had a little misunderstanding. Donnie helped me straighten it out. And I see a sawhorse drawn there again for 8th Street.
Yes.
And that's how we go in. We come off of Long, cross Broad, go right beside the church fellowship hall, and park there. And we were having trouble getting in there last year for the first day.
Do we have a guard there at that location?
We'll work together, the event planning team will work together with the board and make sure we've got all that work.
Yeah.
So it's
Our
not a
safety
problem.
team
Sure.
will take care of that.
Sure.
It'll be addressed.
Yeah.
I think what happened is when new festival leadership came in, that was not conveyed to the new leadership, which is me. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the issue.
Yeah.
As long as I know.
Well, Donnie intervened
Yeah.
and helped me,
He's
and
on the team.
my response to the young guy, I said, well, we've been doing this for 30 years, you know, and
Yes,
of course, he didn't know, but Donnie stepped in and helped.
Okay,
So,
I'm glad to hear that. Anybody else have anything to add or questions?
Since you're here, maybe we get this over with now. We talked about using the new parking lot that tourism bought on 8th Street, the gravel parking lot. We talked
Yes.
about using that as a potential place to put our tables, and you had asked me to ask
Either
tourism.
that, well, we'll talk about
But
those
the-
details. I don't want to get into it here and waste anybody's time on festival business that we
Okay.
worked out together.
Well, it'll have to be the mayor's decision on whether we can use the parking lot. The reason I brought it up now, so. Just so you know,
Well,
you may have already talked to him, I
The
don't know.
gravel parking lot that you got, that was Baxter's, we talked about that, or the lot in front of BSN where that was, which is also Baxter's. You all just got the gravel, right?
That actually will be up to tourism. My office won't have any say on that. They bought that through them.
Like you always do, yeah. Okay,
I'd work that out with
worked out.
them. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, either of those, we just need to look at the slope on that gravel lot.
Yeah, the upper part of it's pretty flat. I went and walked over. I
Okay.
was surprised how flat it was.
All right,
Like you.
and
It might work.
Travis is going to fill you guys in on the Stage of Stars and Center Stage lineup. So, and then, if you don't have anything else for me, I'm done, and I'm gonna let him step up here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, thank you all again. I echo Kim's remarks. We appreciate the time being able to come and talk to you about the chicken festival. We've worked all year long, as a matter of fact, and Angelique is will be passing out. This is not the flyer, the poster, or anything. We worked on that this morning, but this is going to give you an idea of what's happening in each stage. So Tim Parks has done an amazing job yet again for the Stage of Stars. A combination of local, regional artists, and then some of our bigger name acts. So on Thursday night, the Head Over Heels Band, which has played the festival before, they will be opening for Deep South, which will be the headline of that night. On Friday, Emily Jamerson of the Jamerson family of Kentucky, amazing musical family there. She will be opening up and paving the way for Lance Rogers, and then our main act on Friday night is a Southern rock band, Blackberry Smoke. They formed in Atlanta around 2001. They've got several songs you might be familiar with. Hey Delilah, One Horse Town, and Pretty Little Lie. And they are taking off the stage that night, kicking off what is going to be Saturday's entertainment. Brooks Kidd, local Laurel County boy, he's going to be performing for us. Hannah Wheeler. And then our country act is Mark Wills. You might remember him from the late 90s, Jacob's Ladder. Trying to think, 19-something, and So Help Me Girl. Those were three of his bigger country hits. My stage is the fun stage. That's where all the contests happen and where we actually highlight local regional talent. So on Thursday, the Chicken Festival could not happen if we did not have Peggy Eames kicking things off for us, as she always does.
Yay, Patty.
We have a young girl out of Whitesburg, Gigi Caldwell. She is going to be performing while they take the entrance for the Sam 1039 karaoke contest. Friday, there's just one act because most of our things going on the stage are contests. So all of the main contests are back on Friday and Saturday. The Cluck and Strut and Crowin contest, the Mullet contest, the Beard and Whiskers contest, the Hot Wing Eating contest, the Somerset Community College cook-off, that all is taking place at my stage. On Saturday, we have a full lineup of local regional artists. Nick Cassetta is out of Richmond. He's played in London several times, has a great following. Troy Carlos is out of Prestonsburg, Kentucky. Haley Newman and Bach will be performing. Layla Spring will perform at 6, and that kicks off with a No Handshake band. So that is kind of what we have lined up. And then going back, not to be remiss, but the Sunday Gospel Extravaganza, the Fairhaven Quartet will be performing the Franklins and Lovewell. And then the headliner for that day is Todd Tillum. He's a pastor and singer. He was the winner of season 18 of The Voice, and he will be performing on Sunday there at the Stage of Stars for the Gospel Extravaganza.
The Gospel Extravaganza starts at 1 p.m. with music. At 10 a.m., if anybody doesn't know, there is a church service usually done by the First Christian Church and the United Methodist Church. Their partner most of the time on that.
And I'm thankful that we're having fried chicken on Sundays. You can't really have gospel music and not have fried chicken.
Thanks.
But if you have any questions or anything for me, I'll be more than happy to address that. Thank you all again for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis.
Next thing on the agenda is we have Small Business Administration Disaster Relief Team here. He's going to speak.
Thank you again, Mayor. It's good to be here. Be able to report to you that things are going well with London and Laurel County applicants for the disaster loans that we are offering. To date, across the declaration, we've had 132 applications, and we have offered just under $7 million in loans to 44 individuals. 41 of those are home loans, 2 are businesses, and 1's are economic injury disaster loans. But in Laurel County, 94 of those applicants happened here in Laurel County, and almost $6.4 million over 12 applications have been taken. 38 of those have been offered, and we've dispersed about $650,000. So we've got another 3 weeks in the application process up until July 23rd, which is the deadline. Folks can apply after the deadline as well. There's a 60-day grace period. But we still encourage folks to come on in and apply. I know Stacy helped us out, get some information out. I'm going to be on the radio station again Thursday. We've had articles in the paper. Again, we want to get the word out to folks that as the Small Business Administration, we do help homeowners and renters. And these are long-term loans. They're very low interest, 3% and less. That first year is deferred interest-free, so it gives folks a lot of options to be able to work with that money. Last week I met with the United Way. I know they're going to be taking applications for some grants. So again, any funds that we offer are above and beyond what folks may get from grants or insurance or other sources. So we encourage them to come on in and talk to us, and we appreciate all the efforts and the cooperation you all have given us.
We appreciate you guys.
The one thing I did try to point out to everybody, I thought they maybe missed at the first meeting, is that there's no fees or closing cost.
No fees.
And it's just deferred for the entire 12 months, interest and the payments.
And that low interest rate. So folks that don't qualify for that low interest rate, they're still not going to get that, because the higher interest rate is still lower than what they're going to get at a bank, and they're going to have to pay fees and closing costs. And then also too, we can help folks with mitigation. So over the term of the loan, if they do get an additional disbursement, they can get, if they get an initial disbursement, they can get additional funds to that loan up to the max, and they can also get funds for mitigation. So if they want to, put in measures to take out trees or storm drains or
Shelter.
Storm shelter and the like, yeah, we'll help them.
Right, so the 12 months starts after they get their first payment.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep. Starts monthly. Right. So if they pay it off in that 12 months and they don't have any interest and no.
It's a good deal. Thank you.
And again, so we were at the Chris helped us. We were at the festival a couple weeks ago. If anyone knows of any events where we can come out to and set up and then take applications, in the next 2 months, please just reach out to me and we'll make that happen. We're trying to do that across, here and in Pulaski County, to increase traffic so folks know that. So we appreciate any help you all can give us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And the next thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the June 2nd and June 16th meetings. You guys make a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
the roll call.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Benj?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Something we've added, you guys know that Willie went to work for the EOC in the county, so that's who did our recordings and for the council meetings and did some PR for the city as well. We're going to have to buy some of the equipment because he owned all that. So to replace that, we didn't have it in our budget to replace that equipment. So we got to work on some pricing. Brian's been trying to get the pricing on it for us. Tonight, we're recording. We're going to upload it, but we couldn't live stream because we're missing a few of those pieces. To get it all connected into the sound system and everything. So we'll have to come back to you guys and get a motion for the contingency to be able to buy that equipment and send you out the pricing on all of that. So we're having to do a little bit different tonight. So we'll bring that back to you at another meeting.
Is this something that Brian can operate himself if we have the meetings here or upstairs?
That's the goal when we develop this pricing list for you, is to cover chamber and non-chamber council meetings, make sure that live stream can be done and trained, so coming back, that might just handle that one person.
All right, we'll get that out to you guys. Next thing on the agenda is the first reading of the Development Ordinance 2025-04. She has a summary we're going to read.
Summary of the 2025 City of London, Kentucky Streamlined Development Ordinance. The following is a summary prepared by Larry G. Bryson, City of London Attorney, who is licensed and authorized to practice law in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. This summary is a true and correct summary of the Ordinance 2025-04 entitled 2025 City of London, Kentucky Streamlined Development Ordinance. This ordinance encompasses the City of London ordinances 2026-04, 2017-07, 2018-03, 2020-08, and 2022-03. All ordinances or part of the ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are repealed. Introduction and legal authority. The 2025 Streamlined Development of the Ordinance for the City of London, Kentucky represents a comprehensive overhaul of the city's zoning and land use regulation. Enacted under the authority granted by the Kentucky Revised Statute, Chapter 100, this ordinance supersedes all prior versions, including those adopted from the 2016 to 2022. The primary goal of this reform is to modernize the legal framework governing development to the city, ensuring capability with contemporary best practices in planning and consistent alignment with the city's comprehensive plan. The ordinance aims to strike a balance between promoting economic development and urban growth while providing public health, safety, and general welfare. Importantly, it seeks to accomplish this without imposing unnecessary procedural or financial burdens on the residents, businesses, or developers. The document is designed to be accessible and understandable and administered effectively. In doing so, it encourages both public participation and private initiative in the sustainable development of the city. With this ordinance, the City of London establishes a clear, predictable, and enforceable set of regulations to guide zoning decisions and land development moving forward. The ordinance designed two primary governing bodies for zoning and planning oversight, the Planning Commission and Board of Adjustments. Those boards serve as the backbone of the city's development regulations infrastructure. The Planning Commission is composed of 5 members who are appointed by the mayor and serve 4-year terms, KRS 100.133 and KRS 100.141. These members must take an oath of office and comply with ethical standards, including recusal in the event of conflict of interest. The commission meets regularly, at least once a month, and is responsible for overseeing a wide range of planning functions. These include preparing and updating the city's comprehensive plan, conducting public hearings, viewing and recommending text and map amendments, maintaining official zoning maps, and land use records. The commission also reviews subdivision plats, regulation development standards. Each member receives a stipend of $250 per meeting attended. Commission may hire planners or consultants if necessary, subject to budgetary approval by the mayor and city council. The Board of Adjustments also consists of 5 members, likewise appointed by the mayor. Their key responsibilities include evaluating applications for conditional use permits, hearing requests for variances, and serving as the applicant body for decisions made by the administrative official. The board acts as an adjudicative body with the authority to grant or deny exceptions based on the evidence presented to the public hearing, or at the public hearing. Like Planning Commission members, board members are paid $250 per meeting and must comply with the ethical and procedural standards established in the ordinance. Both boards ensure the decisions are consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, zoning code, and relevant state law. Conditional use permits, CUPs, serve as an important zoning mechanism to allow specific land uses that are not automatically permitted within a zoning district, but may be appropriate if certain criteria are met. These permits are granted by the Board of Adjustments after a thorough review process that includes public hearings and evaluations of potential impacts on surrounding properties. Applicants must pay a $400 fee and cover additional costs associated with public notice and official filings. CUPs may be granted with conditions such as time limits, performance requirements, or operational restrictions. These conditions are recorded in the official minutes in the clerk's office to ensure enforceability. The board also reviews CUPs annually through the administrative official to confirm ongoing compliance. If the permit holder fails to meet the established conditions, the CUP may be temporarily revoked, followed by a formal hearing to determine permanent revocation or reinstatement. Variances or deviations from strict zoning requirements that may be granted within property-specific circumstances warrant relief. To be eligible, the applicant must demonstrate that the hardship is unique, not self-imposed, and that granting the variance would not negatively impact public health or alter the essential character of their neighborhood. Variances cannot authorize use not permitted in a zone. The fee for a variance request is $400. Approved variances are recorded with the clerk and bind future property owners. The ordinance provides structured procedures for amending either the zoning text or the official zoning map. Text amendments can be initiated by public officials or private citizens. Private proposal must include a red line version of the proposed changes, a justification letter, and a $2,000 application fee. Map amendments or rezoning are simply regulated and require public notification, submission of application materials, and a formal review by the Planning Commission. Rezoning proposals must be demonstrated consistently with the city's comprehensive plan and must not constitute spot zoning, which is typically discouraged under Kentucky law. Public notices must be sent to adjoining property owners, published in local newspapers, and posted in accordance with statutory deadlines. The Planning Commission holds public hearings and submits its recommendations to the City Council. If no appeal is filed within 21 days of Planning Commission decision, the recommendation becomes final. If an appeal is filed or the City Council invokes its authority to review the matter, the Council must act within 90 days. Overrides of Planning Commission's recommendations require a unanimous vote in the entire Council. All final actions are recorded and published for transparency. The ordinance includes detailed provisions for the annexation of land into the City of London. Property owners who wish to annex must file a formal request by the Mayor's office, including the property's legal description, parcel number, deed reference, and current zoning classification. The city retains the discretion to accept or deny any annexation request. Annexation is generally processed under KRS Chapter 81A. Preferred annexation follows KRS 100.209, which allows the city to establish a zoning classification concurrently with annexation, providing clarity for the property owners and planners. Unless the otherwise specified, newly annexed land defaults to the R1 residential zoning district. Before annexation is approved, the administrative official consults with the relevant city departments to assess the feasibility in extending municipal services such as utilities, roads, and emergency services. A decision is issued within 60 days. If annexation proceeds and required documentation includes plats and ordinances, must be filed with the appropriate state and county offices. Enforcement of the zoning ordinance is handled by the Code Enforcement Office led by the administrative official. This office serves as the operational arm of the Zoning Land Use Administration. The administrative official is appointed by the mayor and is empowered to enforce zoning regulations, process application, issue building permits, certificates of occupancy, and maintain detailed records. The administrative official has broad enforcement powers, including the authority to issue stop work orders, demand the removal of illegal structures, and initiate corrective action. In some cases where strict enforcement could impose several economic consequences, the administrative official may negotiate a phased compliance plan, provided it is supported by a binding written agreement with the property owner. All actions taken are documented in permanent files, which include records of application, violation, inspections, and correspondence. This office plays a critical role in safeguarding the integrity of the zoning process and ensuring that all development aligns within the city's adopted rules and regulations. Before any construction, alteration, excavation, or relocation of any structures can begin, a building permit must be obtained from the administration official. This requirement applies to all structures, including residential, commercial, and accessory buildings. Applicants must submit detailed plans, surveys, and proof of insurance. Additionally, they must certify that all contractors involved comply with Kentucky labor laws. Permit fees are calculated based on the construction value, $150 per square foot for residential projects and $225 per square foot for commercial buildings. Plan review timelines are set to ensure efficiency, with reviews generally complied within 7 working days. If a project does not meet requirements, the administrative official will issue a written denial complaint explaining the deficiencies. A building permit is valid for 180 days for the date of issuance, with an optional extension for an additional 180 days if requested in writing. Upon completion of the construction, a certificate of occupancy must be obtained before any or occupancy is permitted. The certificate confirms that all construction complies with the zoning ordinance, building codes, and safety safeguards. It requires submission of multiple inspection certificates, including those from electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and fire authorities. The ordinance divides the City of London into several zoning districts, R1 and R2 for residential use, C1, C2, and C3 for commercial use, MP for mobile and manufactured home parks, PDP for planned development projects, and additional classifications for industrial and government uses. Each district has specific dimension standards, including minimum lot size, setbacks, distances, building heights, and maximum lot coverage. R1 districts are intended for low-density, single-family homes. They permit detached dwellings, patio homes, condominiums. R2 districts support higher-density residential uses, including duplexes, fourplexes, apartment complexes, and townhomes. Standards vary slightly depending on the access to public utilities, with larger lots requiring required where such services are unavailable. All structures must comply with the established dimensional requirements unless a variance is granted. In cases of fire, natural disaster, or demolition, existing non-conforming structures may be rebuilt provided their previous dimensions are not exceeded and they are not located within a special flood hazard area, SFHA. Reconstruction in SFHAs require additional state-level approvals. Mobile and manufactured home parks are restricted to the MP zoning district and must comply with rigorous development standards. Each lot must be at least 4,000 square feet and allow for only one home. Required setbacks include 25 feet from roads and 20 feet between homes. Parks must be included paved roads, off-street parking, and designated recreational spaces provided at least 150 square feet per unit. Applicant must submit comprehensive development plans and pay $3,000 application fee. Plans must show the site layout, access roads, drainage, utilities, and playgrounds. Compliance with the comprehensive plan is mandatory. Existing parks may continue operating if maintained in a safe and sanitary condition. New manufactured homes located outside designated parks require conditional use approval by the Board of Adjustments. The administrative official must verify compliance with the installation of safety standards before issuing a certificate of occupancy. Planned development projects, PDPs, allow for flexible and large-scale development that integrates residential, commercial, or public use. PDPs must include a minimum of 2.5 acres and be reviewed through the zoning amendment process. Applicants must submit a detailed development plan that outlines lots of configuration, building layouts, access routes, infrastructure, and proposed plans. Planning Commission evaluates PDPs based on their potential impact on surrounding areas, alignment with the comprehensive plan and city's infrastructure capacity. Approved projects are recorded with certificate of land use restrictions. Commercial zoning is divided into C1 central business, C2 central business or general business, and C3 neighborhood business. These zones support a varying intensities of commercial use. Developments within these zones must submit site plans, meet parking requirements, and demonstrate traffic safety measures. Strip centers and multi-use projects must provide internal traffic circulation that are subject to strict design standards. Applicants must demonstrate financial capacity and commit to completing the project in a timely manner. The ordinance includes a fee schedule to support Planning Commission and board operations. These fees are designed to make the regulatory process self-sustaining. Standard fees include $400 for CUPs and variances, $2,000 for rezoning requirements, $2,500 for cellular tower permits, and $3,000 for mobile home park developments. All fees are reviewed periodically and may be adjusted by the City Council. Plan review fees align with Kentucky Building Code. All permit application must be accompanied by the appropriate fees, and failure to remit payment will result in administrative denial. Public involvement is emphasized throughout the ordinance, which is a requirement for hearings, notices, and open meetings. By ensuring public transparency, the ordinance fosters civic trust and compliance. The above summary is prepared by Larry G. Bryson, City of London attorney, who is listed and authorized to practice law in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. This summary is a true and correct summary of Ordinance 2025-04 entitled 2025 City of London, Kentucky Streamlined Development Ordinance.
That would be the summary. Also, Josh is here, and we can answer any question that you guys may have regarding this ordinance. I know it's a large one. So does council have any questions?
Gardens on less than 5 acres. Did I read that correct?
Josh, you want to talk about the garden piece?
Well, I have gone through this. I have several post-it notes. But it's the one, if you have less than 5 acres, continuous acres, meaning they're all joined, that you couldn't have livestock, chickens, couldn't raise a garden. And I'll find it here in a minute, because I have post-it notes on it. In the meantime, we can talk about another one while I'm looking at this. It's on signage, that signs have to be a certain size, businesses. If we pass this ordinance and the old signage doesn't meet the requirements of the new ordinance, those signs are illegal.
So, on page 38, section 205.4.7.
Let me get to 38. Yeah, that's on the signage.
It says, any sign that was legal at the time of adoption of this ordinance, but finds itself illegal under this ordinance, shall be given legal, non-conforming status, and shall be subject to the non-conforming use standards. So my understanding of that is if it was legal during the 2022-03 development ordinance, and it becomes illegal under this ordinance, it will be given a status of legal non-conforming, meaning it will be allowed to remain. We're going to acknowledge that it's non-conforming to this ordinance, but it will still be a legal sign. As far as removal of signs, in section 205.49 on page 39, it lists certain circumstances that would require the removal of the sign. It says that the Office of Code Enforcement is hereby authorized to require the removal of any illegal signs. And under the non-conforming signs, like I said, it would be considered a legal non-conforming sign.
But it would still be illegal.
No, it says that it would be legal non-conforming.
Okay.
Meaning it's a legal sign, it just doesn't conform to this ordinance because it was in existence
Okay.
under the 2022-03.
Same as
may want
grandfathering in, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The only time we look at removing signs, if someone puts up one that's, illegal and our first thing that we're gonna try to do is get them to get a permit and adjust their sign to make it legal to the development ordinance. Usually we have good success working with people in that realm. And anytime that they're unsafe or on public right-of-way, public property, that's when we start looking at immediate removal.
Josh, so those signs that would be grandfathered in, when their time has come and they have to be replaced, then they'll have to conform to the ordinance, correct?
Typically, what we do is, if someone's just, they've got an existing sign, and a lot of retail chains do it, where they just reface it. As long as that sign's in good repair and stays, they're not enlarging it or bringing it further out of compliance than we usually.
You answered that question.
Okay.
I've got another one.
All right.
On page 102, agricultural use. Tract of land less than 5 continuous acres for production of agriculture within the city limits.
So that's under the definitions section. And basically, that's just putting a definition to agricultural use. There's nothing in there that I understand is saying that agricultural uses cannot exist. That's just putting a definition to what is considered agricultural use.
And that's taken out of the Kentucky statutes, so we cannot change that.
Yeah, it's referencing KRS 243.155 and KRS chapter 230. But that section, it's under Article 5, which is definitions, and there's just it's.
And I haven't found it yet, but there is a place in there that says, yeah, that is the definitions, but there's a place in there that restricts agricultural to.
So, in
It has to be-
reference to gardens, I marked everywhere.
I believe right
in
now
this-
it's a half acre or more, right? Isn't that what the ordinance, the current ordinance says? Is half acre?
So, on page 126,
There may be one said. You say 126?
yes, sir. It's Appendix 7, and and that's uses in residential districts. 9 down from the top, it's greenhouses, gardens, horticulture activities, non-commercial. And out from that, in every district, has an A next to it, which means that is permitted as an accessory to the primary structure. So there's only 3 places that I've been able to find in this ordinance that specifically mention gardens, and that's on page 126, 114, and 120. And on 114, it's talking about condominiums. So this is a section that specifically applies to if someone's building a condominium. And it's talking about general common elements, okay? And under item C, this is on page 114, common elements are the basements, flat roofs, yards, and gardens, except as otherwise provided of stipulated. So that's just saying that a garden at a condominium would be considered a common area, a general common area. And then again on page 120, it talks about gardening, and this is in regards to townhouses. And then it's talking about maximum area requirements. And land area requirements, and then it goes on to say the difference between the total land area required for the entire townhouse development and the total land area of the development's recorded lots for residential purposes shall be provided as one or more open lots to be used for parking if paved pursuant to standards of these zoning regulations, the subdivision regulations, and plat conditions, and subject to reasonable ongoing maintenance requirements. Recreational, covered school bus stop, scenic views, botanical features, landscaping, gardening, wetlands, retention pond, fishing pond, utility infrastructure, or appurtenances, and/or walking or bicycling trails. So that section, as I understand it, is saying that as part of a townhouse development, they're required to have some open area that includes parking, gardening, bicycle trails, and those items listed in that section of the ordinance. Those are the only 3 places that I've been able to find going through the conventions garden.
We didn't actually say gardening, it's just agriculture. You said agriculture, not necessarily gardening, but that's where that falls.
Yeah. It's not my desire to keep anybody from gardening.
State changed the law on manufactured mobile homes.
Correct.
We brought that up last time, a couple months ago.
It goes into effect, I believe, in 26.
Yes.
2026.
Does this address that properly?
It has not, because that law doesn't go into effect until 2026. We had discussed doing a separate ordinance, basically adopting the state regulations as they're written.
Yeah,
Is there any reason to think it won't go into effect?
We don't have any regulations at this time.
It was House Bill 160, it passed.
Yes.
Yep. It will pass. It will go into effect
In 2026.
next year.
On the fees for new construction and remodeling and whatever, and I don't have the old, what changes were there in the fees for building permit fees?
So the 2022-03 ordinance had,
Were there increases or?
Yes.
there are.
Okay.
The minimum fee was increased. I mean, we were looking at a minimum fee of in the neighborhood of $20 or $25. And it's just not feasible to, our minimum building permit fee is $20. And it's really not feasible to, process all the paperwork, do a plan review, and do all the inspections involved with basically any structure for $20. I mean, it's not sustainable. And then the cost of construction was based off of $60 per square foot on the main living area, $50 a square foot on an attached garage, $45 a square foot for the second floor, and $45 a square foot for improved basement. So, I mean, there's nowhere that I know of that you can build anything for less than $150 a square foot. I mean, it's just, turnkey. I don't know that you can get it framed for $45 a square foot. That's pretty cheap. And that's just the cost of construction. If someone come in and said, I want to build a 2,000 square foot house, according to this ordinance, I would calculate that at $45 a square foot. I normally ask them, what cost of construction have you figured? I base a lot of it off of what they tell me. But this ordinance puts the cost of construction more in line with what it is today. And we did increase the minimum fees for permits and electrical permits. Electrical permits $20 right now. And I think on the electrical permits, we took it easy on the residential side. We didn't want to make it hard on homeowners. But still, if you're building a $1 million structure on the commercial side, $200 for an electrical permit's not going to stop the project from happening.
From tornado victims within the city limits that's rebuilding, whether it's residential or commercial, are any of these fees being lessened or laxed or forgiven to try to help with that any?
On the tornado relief? Yeah, I mean, anybody's gonna.
That's rebuilding.
Anybody's gonna rebuild. And we do work with individuals that may their house burnt down, or something catastrophic happened. Of course, we're gonna help them any way we can, and we have in the last 2.5 years.
And some of these folks may be replacing with manufactured homes. Will all of those requirements still be, or will they be lessened any?
The biggest issue I'm seeing right now that people are bringing to my attention with bringing manufactured homes in, it's not really the city ordinance, it's deed restrictions. And that's a hard part for them to get around, So if there was a developer that developed a subdivision in the 70s and they put a clause in there that no mobile or manufactured homes, and now that developer that could have signed off giving them a variance, if you will, saying, we'll let you do this, has passed, then there's additional things that they have to do to try to make that happen. But, right now the city ordinance, even the 2022-03 development ordinance says if it was destroyed by fire or natural disaster, you've got, I think, 18 months to put one back in its place of equal size. So.
Without the permits? Or,
like I said, if it was a natural disaster situation, we would do everything we could to help the public get back in a home.
You answered. Thank you.
Y'all have any other questions?
Thank you, Josh. We can get a motion to approve the first reading. Motion dies. What is council's pleasure with this ordinance?
I'd say throw it away and start over, that's my answer.
Right now, we're operating under the old ordinance, which
Larry,
is
we'll continue doing that,
much-
no disrespect, but that's okay. We've already made our vote, we don't need any more input.
No, I
Can we
want to
move on,
say
please?
what we're operating under right now is the old ordinance.
We understand that, Larry.
Which is much more restrictive than this proposed ordinance. So
Maybe
just
so.
wanted all the council members
Thank
to
you.
know of that.
Thank you.
So this one proposed is less restrictive, but it's got 50 more pages than the other one or whatever, is that
No,
right?
it has about 50 less pages than the other one.
Okay, well, I guess I was misinformed on that then. Looked to me like it was
So
more.
currently, we got situations, I'll give you a prime example. We have J. Freight Publishings who've been in the city for a long time. They employ people here, they do a lot of good work, and there's other businesses here. Under the current ordinance we have, if he adds 15 foot to his building, he has to build 2 retention ponds. This ordinance was taken from Alaska, Anchorage up there, their city. The old council took from Georgetown to write the ordinance we're currently under. Now, this came from the old building inspector. All this stuff was added in. You cannot build in this city. We removed everything in that ordinance. Nothing was added to it other than what the state statute required. Matter of fact, that we did not write it. We went to Brown and, they're a very good firm. He wrote the ordinance. They've helped write zoning and planning throughout the state of Kentucky.
So that firm used an ordinance from Georgetown for London when they wrote it.
No, the old ordinance.
That's what I'm saying, the old ordinance.
No, they didn't write the ordinance. The ordinance was done, I'm not for sure how it was constructed, but information was added into that ordinance, yes, came out of Georgetown. Georgetown is a lot bigger city. They have the pleasure to tell people that you have to do this if you want to do business in Georgetown. London, Kentucky doesn't, and we shouldn't be telling a person that if you add 15 foot on your building, we're going to require you to have 2 retention ponds, when you don't even have the land to have those 2 retention ponds. So currently, I'm asking council to come up with something and do it soon. This ordinance was worked on for over a year. It wasn't taking anything lightly, and as far as the fees and stuff, we're light years behind even smaller towns on what we charge people. $20 to get an electrical permit. Cities around us that's much smaller is 10 times the amount. So we were very competitive in those fees. This firm did not write the fees. We took a consensus of towns our size to construct those fees and what people were charging, even our neighbors, Somerset and Corbin. So essentially, though, we need to do something because this current ordinance is way more restrictive. And if you go through it, as much as if you went to the new one, you would see that it is, and then there's a lot of policies and procedures in there that we can't even uphold, like a barking dog or, telling this person, it's way more intrusive than what we currently were introducing. So what is council's plan? How are we coming to a resolution for the development ordinance? Because we have to have a comprehensive plan too, which one we currently have is going to be expiring. So that needs to be done, and we have to have, that's in conjunction, comprehensive plan, development ordinance. So what are we doing? What is our direction?
I say we just cut the BS out of it, make it about half the size that it is. I don't think it needs to be nowhere near the size that it is, even the one we got currently.
But 99% or 90% of that is KRS. We can't just cut it and gut it because a lot of that is, you're looking at planning and zoning statutes that the state says regardless is required to be there. And then every time they expound on their planning and zoning or building codes, every city across the state has to do the same. So this is an updated version of what they're saying as far as planning, zone, code enforcement, just all that stuff encompasses as far as building and all that. So it's going to grow because I think if you watch every statute, they grow consistently every time they touch them. but we have to have a plan because currently we are very unfriendly. And like Josh said, Josh goes out, if someone gives him $20 to go out and do an inspection, it doesn't even cost, cover the cost of fuel. We are behind. I ask council to at least consider passing this one, and then if there's things in that ordinance that is not state statute that you don't like, well, let's remove it. Let's remove that portion. But if it's state statute, it don't matter if you take it in or out of there or not. Josh has to uphold the state statutes when it comes to building code. Most of this in this ordinance is state statute. We took out a ton of information that was in there out of Alaska and Georgetown that's not beholden or befitting to the City of London.
I'll make a motion, we pass it for 60 days, or table it for 60 days. September meeting.
I'll second that.
Do you roll call?
Mr. Ortega?
Is anything going to change in 60 days?
Maybe, maybe not.
I can do a subcommittee and you guys get together. Has anybody, let me ask you this, has anybody reached out to the firm that wrote this?
Let me say something. I think, I've learned more tonight about this in the matter of 10 minutes. I wish we could have worked together on this. We were left out of this completely until, but anyway, I wish we could have communicated.
You just came into office, Judd, and this is something that's been being worked on.
No, I understand.
And has been talked with council members.
I worked on it years ago, too. I
I'm
spent
not
a
on that
lot of
list, I
time
guess.
on a subcommittee. And I can tell you that we've had no communication working together. I think it might have gone differently had we worked a little closer.
Well, this
So in
is
the
what
next
council meetings
can I
are
finish? In
for.
the next 60 days, let's work together on it, maybe make some changes.
This is what council for, so there's a misconception. So when the mayor brings an ordinance to the council, this is where we do discuss it because we are bound by law to do our discussions in front of these people.
Okay.
And so this is it. It's not saying, so if you pass it the first reading of the night and you just want to make changes, that's what we do as a government. Let's make the changes to get it to where it needs to be.
So you're going to set up a subcommittee?
I can do an appointment of subcommittee, yes.
This was presented last year. In fact, we had to renumber this ordinance because it was presented last year. It was given to you all several months ago.
And we had questions then, Larry, we understand.
And nothing happened on it.
Okay.
This ordinance, I asked you for this ordinance last September, Larry.
I know.
I asked you for it in November, and I asked you for it again in January.
No, we
Because I knew you was working on it.
gave you a first draft
I didn't get
last
anything
year
until our
in
bills got theirs in
24.
April.
We gave all the council a first draft.
We could have
In
communicated better,
24.
Larry. You can
So we have a
sum it up
motion
however
on
you like, but-
the floor to table it for 60 days.
September meeting.
September meeting, let's
Got
do
a
your roll
second from
call.
Justin?
Mr. Ortega?
So is there going to be a subcommittee or no subcommittee?
Yeah, I'm gonna put a subcommittee together.
Then yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Benj?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda that we had was the first reading of elected officials 2025-06. If the clerk will read.
Okay, an ordinance establishing conduct, training, and accountability standards for elected officials of the City of London, Kentucky, Ethics Board, enforcement, and fines. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of London as follows. The purpose of this ordinance is to establish requirements for the City of London elected officials' conduct, training, and accountability. This ordinance ensures public trust, appropriate training, order, ethical behavior, professionalism during the execution of city business. All members of the City of London City Council or mayor shall attend municipal training provided by the Kentucky League of Cities, KLC, within 3 months of taking office following election or appointment. All elected officials of the City of London, including city council members and the mayor, shall be required to complete the following training as part of their official duties. Annual continuing education requirement. All elected officials must complete a minimum of 40 hours of training by the Kentucky League of Cities per calendar year. Approved training topics include, but are not limited to, ethics, open meetings and open records laws, municipal finance and budgeting, conflict resolution, public decorum and meeting procedures, leadership and public service ethics, verification and compliance. Proof of completed training hours shall be submitted by each council member and the mayor to the city clerk for verification by December 31st of each year. It is the responsibility of the council member and mayor to provide such verification to the city clerk. Failure to meet the annual training requirements shall result in a written warning from the ethics board, a fine not exceeding $250 per violation, and/or mandatory makeup training within 60 days, or an additional fine by the ethics board. Rules and order meetings. All council meetings shall follow Robert's Rules of Order or a council mayor adopted Rules of Order policy. Council members and the mayor shall maintain decorum and respect for the process of transacting city business at all council meetings and with all city staff and public. Any council members who disrupt council meetings by engaging in personal attacks or obscenities or other similar words, or the failure to refuse to follow meeting procedures when directed to do so by the presiding officer, may be subject to a formal, verbal, and/or written warning by the presiding officer, and are subject to orders and findings of the ethical board as contained in this ordinance. The chair of the council, mayor, or presiding officer shall be responsible for maintaining order and enforcing rules for procedure during all council meetings. Any council member who fails to follow proper meetings decorum, engages in personal attacks, disruptive behavior, or refuses to comply with the procedural rules shall be subject to the following disciplinary process. The chair shall issue up to 3 verbal warnings to any council member found to be out of order or in violation of meeting decorum. After the 3rd warning, the chair shall have the authority to find the council member in violation of this ordinance and/or remove the council member from any subcommittees, boards, or appointed roles within the council. Upon the 3rd violation of this ordinance or any council member, the chair shall file a formal report with the city ethics board. The ethics board shall have the authority to investigate the repeated violations, recommend fines, or recommend removal from the office for gross misconduct subject to all applicable laws.
Mr. Mayor, I move to vote.
Okay. Well, we need to finish reading though.
I thought we should save some time.
Okay.
Unless anyone had any questions about this ordinance,
No.
just to save the public some time, and I could always also provide a copy of it.
Could you put your microphone closer to you, please?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
We old people can't hear.
Yes, ma'am. I move to vote.
Okay. What's your vote?
You want to do a roll call, or?
We're gonna do a
We have a
motion. You're
motion.
making a
Oh,
motion,
yes.
you said.
I move to not accept this.
Can we ask why?
A motion's on the floor. Can I have a second?
Second.
Do roll call.
Mr. Ortega?
No.
Mr. Young?
We're voting
You're making a motion to not accept this, and you said no.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
No.
Wait a minute, are we saying yes to not accept it or no? That's
I'm in
confusing.
favor. I'm in favor of the training.
Okay. So
Well,
you're
that's-
no.
That's the whole thing, though. You have to accept the whole thing. It's not just the training, it's the whole ordinance, Jim.
Okay.
Good with no? No, okay. Mr. Benge?
I'm not in favor of the ordinance. I assume the vote is yes to do this.
Yes.
Just
Ms.
to make all
Green?
clear.
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
We have the Ethics Board appointments of Heather Dyke and Dwight. You guys tabled it until this meeting. What is our pleasure there? You going to confirm these appointments?
Mayor,
Are we doing the bullying ordinance first?
Well, we are going to table that one because the lawyers haven't met yet. That was the discussion in the last meeting when we talked about that they were supposed to meet, discuss it, and then we were going to bring it back, and they've still not been able to meet about it.
Yeah, we've had 2 appointments scheduled. Mr. Bryson, I think, was ill, so we're just gonna try to get together sometime between now and the next meeting.
So is it tabled to August?
Yeah, we'll put it off till August meeting.
on your appointments to the ethics board, what vacancies are you attempting to fill? Because there's several different, you have two candidates.
Yeah.
What two candidates are you, or what two vacancies are you wanting to fill?
Well, the board is empty, so.
No, Jane Lee Dyke is on the board of ethics. I appointed her 2 days before I resigned in order to take this. I appointed her to take Joe Edwards' place, and she resigned in January 16th, and I had the minutes from that meeting of the Ethics Board. And you had 60 days to make that appointment. The clock ran out March the 17th to appoint her, her replacement. And you didn't. When the clock ran out, then it falls back to the Ethics Board. Well, at that time, I was the Ethics Board because Jane and Jim and Derek's term expired, and you didn't reappoint. So that left me on there.
Jane, whose time expired, I'm sorry?
Jane Lee and their terms expired.
They didn't expire until the 26th of last month.
Of April.
Yeah, of April.
Of April. And you did not you could have reappointed them if they would have accepted, but you didn't. But on Jill's replacement, you had 60 days from the time of her, when she resigned, which she resigned January the 16th.
Yeah, so if you look back at the minutes of that meeting, at no time did the board notify the mayor's office when you had that meeting, or when they had that meeting. So it's from the time that I'm notified of the vacancy.
The city clerk took the meeting, the minutes of that meeting, from January the 22nd. That was the city clerk out of your office.
That is correct. And the chairman of the board is to notify the mayor of a vacancy on the board, as all the boards across the city. Once we were notified that there was a vacancy on there, we started the search for an individual to place there. Came before council. They delayed it out, just like they've done these two appointments. And I guess they think because there's a misunderstanding of the law, the statute on this, or the ordinance, I'm not sure what it is. But my job is to appoint. It's your guys' job to confirm. If you deny the ones that I appoint by not confirming them, then I go back to the drawing board finding someone else. And we've kept with that. So you have two appointments here before you tonight. They're people of long standing in this community. They're both really great people that's neutral on both sides of this. So what is the council's pleasure in these two appointments?
I'm not satisfied yet with Jane Lee and that where Jill resigned. You had 60 days.
I placed my appointment within the time frame that I'm allowed to do so.
So you're saying that if the council doesn't approve, then you get a new 60 days?
That is correct, because I appoint.
I don't think that's correct.
Well, and we're still talking about something, two different things. I'm talking about where Jill Edwards resigned effective January the 16th. And you count 60 days forward, that makes it March the 17th. And you didn't appoint. And it states right in the ordinance of the Ethics Board that if the mayor fails to appoint, the Ethics Board can appoint.
Could I briefly chime in? The statute, or excuse me, the ordinance doesn't say appoint. It says field. And there seems to be, to me, a big difference between field and appoint. If the ordinance said, for example, vacancies of the Board of Ethics shall be nominated within 60 days by the mayor, subject to the approval of the city council, well then I would agree with Mr. Weddle he's conforming with that. Like, he is nominating subject to your all's approval. If you vote for it or don't vote for it, he is nominating. But my reading of it says that it shall be filled by the mayor. And if not, then it reverts back to the ethics board to fill those vacancies. There would be no need for that last sentence of the ordinance if we were just gonna, if the plan was for the mayor's office to suggest, nominate, appoint, whatever words you want to use, individuals, the council to repeatedly say no, then there would be no need for the language that says if the vacancy is not filled, then it reverts back to the ethics board to fill the position. I mean, to me, that's the big difference. It says filled in the ordinance, not nominated, not appointed. So that's kind of the position I've advised them on.
How can the mayor fill the position, to use your word?
It's filled.
Unless he's notified that there is a vacancy or a resignation.
Again, I think we're talking about a couple different things, because we have vacancies by virtue of Mr. Baker resigning. We have vacancies by virtue of Mr. House's term expiring. We have vacancy by virtue of Mr. Hayes' term expiring and Ms. Dyke's expiring. So I get what you're saying, that and I would have to see where in an ordinance it states that the chair of that committee has to notify the mayor of that appointment. I mean, and that very well there may be some language to that effect. I'm not aware of that if there is. But I think what they're having some confusion with, and quite frankly where I'm confused, is right now, depending on who you talk to, we either have one person on an ethics board or we have 0 people on an ethics board. That's it. So if we have nominations, and I think the argument was last time that, well, the mayor is doing his part, he's filling the position. Well, no, he's appointing, he's nominating, he's suggesting, whatever term you want to use. But it says, I mean, in plain language, it's filled by the mayor, subject to the approval of city council. So my reading of that is, upon that, if they don't approve it, well, then it reverts back to the ethics board.
But so if they don't approve it, then I don't fill it, is what you're saying?
Yes. It's filled subject to their approval.
So what we're saying here tonight is that essentially this is giving the council a loophole to be able to put who they went on, when the KRS is very plain that the mayor shall appoint. Now, this is KRS. The mayor shall appoint to all boards, subcommittees, committees within the city limits. Now, the moment that we now have established that we have an ordinance that is taking away the powers of the appointment of the mayor, is that what we're agreeing on right now?
No, I'm not agreeing that they're taking away any of your authority. What I'm agreeing is that someone wrote an ordinance that our city is operating under that gives you the power to fill that position, which is innate with KRS. So you have the power to fill it, however, it's subject to their approval. And I don't know that that's outside of what the KRS calls for.
No, and it's exactly right. I guess where we're splitting hairs on is if they don't appoint, confirm the approval, I think it's a general consensus that the mayor's office across this state goes back to the drawing board, because statute still claims that the mayor appoints to the boards.
Right, and I guess then my response would be, then why do we have an ordinance? Again, I didn't write it, I don't know, but we have an ordinance that reads, if the vacancy is not filled by the mayor within 60 days, the remaining members of the Board of Ethics shall fill the vacancy. All vacancies shall be filled for the remainder of the term. But so by that logic, then that's taking away the powers of the mayor.
But if we go with your logic, it is possible, probable, that the chairman of the ethics board, who's not elected by anybody, will fill all the positions on the ethics board, and that person will not be approved by the mayor or the council.
That's what the ordinance says. Yeah,
But that's
how I
not what the statutes say anywhere.
Then I guess my response would be that our ordinance isn't conforming with the statute.
If that's your interpretation of the ordinance, I agree.
Then why would that even be an option per the ordinance?
Then maybe we should change the ordinance.
And
But you've seen how that's gone tonight.
that's what it says in the ordinance. So that's where, I think there is like vast confusion because it says, filled by the mayor, subject to council's approval.
And Mr. Conrad, this is the ordinance from 2023, correct?
Correct. It's the act of, I guess it's 2023.
I believe it's 2023.
Mayor, I don't have a problem at all with, matter of fact, I know Mr. Lark, you've been friends with him a long time, and I think he would serve well. But we're talking about two different things right now. You've got two that you're wanting to put on the ethics board, and we've not even mentioned their names yet, but I know who one is and would be in favor of it. What I'm trying to resolve is the Jill Edwards replacement, that you had 60 days and you missed that 60-day mark, and it got down to where I was the only one on the ethics board. I was the chair, the secretary, I was the only person. And 2 days before I resigned, and I handed you a letter, I got a response from Mr. Bryson that Jane Lee Dyke is on the ethics board. That's the only one I'm trying to resolve right now. Then we'll move on to the two that you're wanting to add tonight. KLC recognizes Jane Lee as being on the ethics board. We've gone that far.
Yeah.
Who at KLC
Morgan
told you
Patterson.
that?
Morgan Patterson.
Did you explain to her
I did.
all of the circumstances?
I did.
And the notification that was not given to the mayor?
Who didn't get
I
the
disagree with
notification?
that, Larry. That's not true. He was given notification. I mean, how would he not know? You knew. You replied.
It came out of the clerk's office.
I
You replied
replied
to Jimmy.
to his inquiry. I have it here if
So
you
did you
want
know?
to see it.
Did you know?
Of May the 6th.
Hey, Judd, so don't confuse the
Yeah.
audience. He replied back to Mr. Baker's.
Not using the audience. I'm just
Yeah,
trying
so
to.
he replied back to Mr. Baker's response is what he's referring to, not the response on whether or not, when it was established, my office was notified.
So are you going to accept her or what? are we-
Jane Dyke is
Yes.
not accepted as being on the ethics board.
Then
Any
we're-
reason why? I mean,
She was sent a letter that we was going to reappoint the ethics board, and that's what we've done. We've tried now, this is the third set of people that we brought one, you guys
but
didn't
in
confirm.
black and white, our ordinance states clearly, you have 60 days. And if you can't do that, then it's appointed by the ethics board member.
We're violating the ethics board.
We're in violation.
ordinance.
We
Because of a
are not
misunderstanding.
accepting
Now,
Jane
I
Dyke.
was a part of that when we passed that ordinance, and it was clear to me. 60 days, and if a
Well,
mayor and a
2023,
if a
you
mayor
wasn't
and a
in
council can't
office.
agree to that, then it's up to the ethics board to appoint, and
Yeah.
you passed your 60 days.
2023, you wasn't in office, so you couldn't understood this
Larry
ordinance.
Bryson was
I was
the
in office
attorney in
for a
that
while.
year, though, and he wrote the ordinance. He wrote the ordinance that he is saying that he doesn't approve of now.
No, that's not what I've said, Kelly.
You say it's not clear.
Goodness.
You said it's not clear.
You said it's not.
It is very clear when you take state statute and apply it to our ordinances, it's impossible to put every statute and every ordinance written, and let's be quite honest, there's a lot of times things come to you before council and you guys remove it, you get it down to where it's nothing for whatever reason. I've seen it multiple times over the last 2.5 years. So this ordinance cannot be sit here and laid off on Larry Bryson like you guys are trying to do at this
I
moment.
think the ordinance is clear, like I said.
It is very clear.
60
When you
days,
take the
and you did
ordinance
not fill the
and
position,
you take the state
it's up to the
statute, it is
ethics
very
board to
clear.
approve.
So,
Very
Mr.
clear.
Mayor,
And
is
if
our
you don't want Jane Lee, just say it. I mean, you said you didn't want her, so.
Jane Lee was, it's not about a matter of what I'm wanting. Jane Lee was sent a letter that she was not filling that seat with other individuals. It's time we have a new ethics board.
One other thing, just since we're talking about statute, and Larry probably is aware of this, I'm still somewhat new to this, but 65008 states that 60 days before the expiration of individuals' terms, that the individuals will serve until their successors are qualified. Does that have any application to the ethics board in your opinion, Larry?
I don't know.
Okay, I can send you an email to that effect. I understand. I'm not springing a statute on it. I just saw that today, so I get that. But that would be another thing that I think kind of falls in line with what we're saying, that, what I'm trying to say here is that I think that, and in the meantime, if you could show me where the notice requirement to the mayor's office, I mean, that makes sense. He has to have notice to appoint. However, it also makes sense that his clerk at the time took the minutes of the meeting. So that if you could point me in the direction that shows where the notice requirements to the mayor and what constitutes notice of I guess resignations of subcommittee and board members are, that would probably be helpful too. Because then if you didn't get notice, you didn't get notice. That would be an appropriate response.
So we're tabling these two appointments
Well,
again.
well, we have no option. We have to clarify our ordinance before we move.
But what does their appointments have, we could still discuss this at a later meeting. One council member's done agreed that Dwight Salarkey's a good man.
I think we need to go back and look at this. I think Jane Dyke should be appointed. I think she was. KLC's recognizing it, and I think we should too.
I will talk
I'm talking
with
to you,
Morgan
not you,
Patterson
Don't you
tomorrow
agree or no?
and see what
Larry,
you told her
I don't want to hear from
about this. Well, I want to say it,
Well,
whether you want to hear it or not.
Let the mayor speak.
No, I'm going to speak about this because I want to know how this question was framed to her.
Okay, so we're tabling this until the next meeting. Is that what we're doing?
Well, I think the vote on it tonight would be a violation of the ordinance.
You have several vacancies.
I know.
How would this be a violation of the ordinance?
If we don't have a
If
clear
we're not gonna
understanding.
Until we
Knowledge.
can clarify this, we can't move forward with the other appointments.
Sure you can.
But why can't you? There's other seats to be filled.
Well,
Your
we need
question
to-
is on Jane Dyke.
I know, but we need to clarify once and for
But
all.
it's starting to appear
over
like-
the Jane Dyke
It's starting to
situation.
appear like, and I'm going to just say this to council, that you guys are wanting Jane Dyke on this board, so then you can load this ethics board up with your picks. The very thing, Ms. Green, that you said you did not want to happen is currently happening. That's why Jane Dyke's being pushed. You have other seats to be filled. We can sit here and discuss Jane Dyke next week, next month, whenever you want to meet.
It's Jane
Yeah,
Dyke or
it don't
Dwight
have
or
anything to do
whoever.
with Jane
Well,
Dyke.
then-
It has nothing to
These-
do. It has
council's
everything to do with
acknowledged tonight.
clarification of the ordinance and you all understanding it the correct way. The way it reads is the way it is.
Am I in my time frame on the other seats? Is there any
Who knows?
Well,
By reading of the ordinance.
Who knows?
I did ask you a question
It says
earlier.
field.
yeah, I'll answer that. That time ran out June the 28th.
Okay, so you tabled it on me, though.
No, I didn't table it on you.
Council it did get tabled. It did get tabled. So you decided to extend the time to this meeting, just like right now, we're fixing to extend it again.
And then I guess then what we need to resolve would be,
We voted no on one of them.
right. and
You did, that was the very first
And who
one.
was he filling?
I mean, take a
I mean, you have to
pick.
pick one.
That one right there would have been for the Edwards
Jill
seat.
Edwards.
Jill Edwards seat.
But you were already over time of that, because if Jill Edwards resigned January 16th, you would
We're
have had
already
until
out of time
March.
on that appointment.
And I believe you nominated him in April.
Yeah, so again, you're talking about that seat. So we'll get clarification on this seat, we'll get all the stuff on it. Let's talk about the other seats. You have other seats sitting open that's on this board. what does it have anything to do with this seat
It
that's
has
in question?
everything to do with it.
Because Jane Dyke,
Understanding of the
according to your
boards.
ordinance, will
Forget
get to
Jane,
appoint
whoever,
all the
it's
other
not
seats. Is
anybody
that correct?
specifically. You all don't understand. We have confusion about the ordinance, period. Yes or no? Yes, right?
No, there's no confusion on the side.
Okay. Well, I think you're confused. I think you both are confused. It is in black and white and very clear. And so somebody is wrong here. And we need to look at this before we go forward. If you want to have a special called meeting this week, let's look at it, do whatever we have to do, and fill those appointments. But we have to be on the same page first and foremost. And the ordinance is clear to me. It's as clear as can be.
And it's clear to KLC as well.
And KLC.
Can you hear from the city for a second? How come we're just now hearing this? If this is something you've been sitting on so long, how come this is now being brought to light instead of being discussed like actual grown-ups that want to run this city the way that needs to be ran? That's fine, you can laugh all you want.
Well, that makes no sense either. And Jimmy, if you want to explain it to him, I mean,
Well, it's not about what makes sense, it's about why are we waiting to bring something up? So that you can
One
have a
reason is
gotcha moment on the mayor.
It's not a gosh moment, it's public information. It's supposed to be
when did
discussed
you
in a
know about
public,
it?
huh?
All I hear about is, we didn't know about this, we didn't know about that. You've been sitting on this for a while.
Well, no, we talked about that. We had this same disagreement 2 meetings ago.
Yeah, so
Same one.
So,
how
2
come
months ago,
now
yeah.
it's getting brought up this way to where,
what's going to get brought up again and again and again until it's resolved,
and that's
okay?
fine, so let's actually do something.
So let's not jump in and not be thorough and sure.
Sure.
How can we do
We've had
that?
plenty
I mean,
of
that
time
would
to
be a
be thorough.
disservice there
Why are we
to,
just now waiting to be thorough whenever we think we're outside of that 60-day mark?
The ordinance. The mayor doesn't entertain the ordinance.
Do you want me to do a roll call? I think tabling till the next meeting.
really?
So are we?
Well, I do, it's in
are we
black and white, it's
tabling-
easy, I can read.
Are we
I can
tabling the
read.
ordinance till the next meeting that we come into, whether it be special
I'd
call?
be for
So
approving
KLC.
the appointment and moving on with the people that you want.
Okay. So I got a motion to approve the two appointments.
So KLC is
No,
advising
I
that.
said I would be for filling who Jimmy wanted, and then with who he said the name, because he was the ethics board, I'd be for that. And once we do that, we'll move on to your appointments. And I don't have a problem with your appointments.
Me either.
So we're tabling the issue till the next meeting.
That's not what she said.
That isn't what I said, but go ahead.
What she said, if we'll acknowledge that Jane Lee Dyke was appointed rightfully so, that we'll move on with the other appointments.
Yeah, so again, she was not appointed rightfully so. So,
Excuse me, I'm Barbara Reed. We the people want an ethics board that is not for you, or you.
I agree, and it shouldn't be, Ms. Reed.
100%.
But you all won't even, do anything when someone's name's brought up. No.
That's not true.
That's not what we're
I
saying.
can show you video.
Well, and I understand, Ms. Reed,
I'm
where you're
not
coming.
arguing with you, Judge.
No, I'm not arguing, I'm
I
just,
didn't vote, we didn't vote you in, the people didn't vote you in.
We voted them in though.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
so
We
the
absolutely did.
motion to dismiss.
Are we not gonna hear from the police chief about the report or anything like that?
What do you mean?
About the red, white, and boom and any,
That's just
Any feedback
information
or
for
anything
your
like that?
packets.
The Public Works.
Oh, yeah, we do have the public works we need to move on to. This is something we brought up before council several months ago. It's been over a year ago. The US 25 project is going to continue on. It was discussed that this project, I know one of the last council meetings, we talked about this when we were talking about one of the other new locations. I think Mr. Young was under the impression maybe that it's going to be some years out. We were told that it's breaking ground in November, and they are starting on the 192 to 229 portion first. I know the state, we had sent you out some of their contact information. So essentially what's going to happen in your rolled up item there is a map. It shows you how much of the land that we're losing. street department cannot stay at that location. We won't even be able to get currently right now, street department handles all the maintenance work on every piece of equipment throughout the city. It's something we did to save taxpayers money. We do that internally now. Most of our equipment will not even fit on that lot size. If you go down there now, where we got everybody parked, we're losing a big portion of that front side. We're not even going to have nowhere to park our equipment. So they are going to move to condemn if we don't come to some kind of agreement with them, because again, they're letting this project in November. So we need options of where we're going to put the street department, where we're going to move them to, what location. So this is something that council.
I'm confused on the condemnation when you're talking about they'll move to condemn. I mean, what do we have to argue they're taking whatever property of theirs that they're going to take?
They told me today that the building wouldn't be torn down.
The street department building is not being torn down.
It's taking part of the parking lot.
Yeah, so we've got to give them that land. So this is what this meeting's for.
They told me the letting was gonna start in February.
November.
I was told today.
November.
This is the letting, okay.
And I asked them if we didn't get the conclusion today, because we're gonna have to approve, which the documentation was sent to you guys, their offer.
I got it right here. And are they gonna redo the offer?
Redo, no.
It's old.
That's where they're at.
Pre-inflation. I was told you could get a reconsideration.
Obviously,
that's a big difference in what it's worth now,
Yeah,
what it was in
have been
2019.
That's where the talks came back to, that they'll move to court.
I couldn't talk to Joel because he's on vacation.
What will happen, and Conrad's probably been through state condemnation before, is the state will take the property. They will take and they'll get an interlocutory order to allow them to have possession of the property. They'll be doing that so they can go ahead and let the contracts on the project. The state will then deposit the amount of their offer to the circuit court clerk, but the judge will issue an order as soon as they file the suit, within about 10 days, I think, after the filing of the suit, to allow the state the property, ownership of the property. So that's the process that we'll go through. It's on your doorstep. You can do nothing if you want to, but that's what's going to happen. The court will take that action.
So we've already gone back and forth and renegotiated.
We have. We went back and told them to do a turn radius, that their damage assessment is not correct. They're taking more land. They even came back to take more land than they originally had said from us, even when I come into office. And I said, well, your damage assessment's based upon something else. And it was based upon when there was less equipment there. But they're pretty firm on where they're at, and that was just what was said. They said, we have to let this out in November. We're going to be breaking ground in November. And they said, so we'll have to move this to condemnation pretty quickly.
So we gotta move.
We gotta move.
And it doesn't matter if it's November or February, there's very few months in
Yeah,
between.
and I said, how long are you giving us to make a decision? Because you're not going to be able to take this before council, and they're giving us 1 week beyond this meeting right here.
What are the ideals of you guys on moving it? Where to?
They've been looking for some time, haven't they?
But do you have any ideas?
Yeah.
And anything on that paper you need to know, I can tell you in great detail.
Where does
Some other places up.
Where does the city own property that we could move to?
What about the property adjacent to the recycling?
Talking about behind it.
Where I
Yes.
think, is that where we've been filling? Is that what you're talking about, Judge?
About 18 acres of it.
Yeah.
It's 470,000 acres.
I'm talking about, no, the.
No, he's talking about the city-owned portion behind, going up TLC Lane.
Yeah.
That's swampland and where we're filling.
We don't own that.
There's land that we own across from the transfer station, right behind the transfer station.
Talking about where the.
It's low,
The
it's
gas pumps were,
possibly,
No, that's county.
down TLC Lane on the right.
no.
Going down past it to the left where the rock stone barriers are, where the fill
That's
is.
in, pretty sure that's on Blue Water, that's on.
Can that not be filled in?
But then we're,
Well, we
You
got a
mean-
permit, we got a permit to fill it, but then you're gonna have to show to the engineer, and I don't think you're gonna have any room, because you've got the railroad and the stream right there. That's gonna be in the way, and then if you go on down toward 192, you're gonna have the right of way that's in that bottom. It's down.
Phil, but will you look at that again, just to be, Troy Rudder and I looked at that very closely years ago, and we come pretty close to trying to develop that. Maybe look at it again just to see.
I'll come and pick any of you guys up and take and show you everything.
You want me to meet with you tomorrow? I'll come and get you tomorrow.
I can come.
Let's do that. How many
I can show you
acres,
what we're doing.
Okay.
how many acres are you looking at needing?
I'm sorry?
How many acreage?
Well, I'm trying to think for the future when I'm not even here for people. And right now, they're operating on 3 acres. That's not, it's taking into account the building's taking up some of that too. I think the city probably needs about 10 acres to be something that would last 20, 30 years into the future. I just think
Philip, you said how much per acre on that property behind?
the one in the big field, I
Yeah.
talked to that person and they asked me $470,000 an acre.
Which, I mean, that's bypass property.
I mean, it's,
Expensive
in my
property.
opinion, it's much too nice a property for a street department to be on. It could be better served for the community as something developed later. I mean, it's too nice.
There's a lot there.
There is a lot of land up by North Middle School, just adjacent to it. We stopped and talked to the property owners there today about that. They got a lot of land there, and we just would need to carve out 10 acres, but they
Did they
said.
say how much per acre, or?
No, it's got to go through an estate, so we have to wait.
And the city doesn't, any other place they own, that the city owns the property already? 4th Street?
Yeah, so
For
4th Street
tourism?
is a swamp. We bought a lot of swamp land when we were buying in those days.
Well, the property there, where the recycle center is, I just pulled it up on the PVA. I mean, unless the PVA lines are wrong, it shows us owning all the way to the railroad track right away. We've been filling there in that area.
Yeah, we do, but it's-
But, we had plans to fill all that in there eventually. Is that what we planned on
The reason we're
doing?
filling that now is to make room for roll-offs, because our roll-offs, which is our open tops, 20, 30 yards, we've got a huge uptick in the demand for those, like we can't keep them, some of them we're having to rob from another place that's not using it and move it back and forth. And so we're trying to develop that to get more organized. We want to stencil all our dumpsters and roll-offs and put them in as an asset, so we can pull them in and do vacants on them, because right now, some of them are so depleted, they're gone, so.
Yeah, I understand
Well
that.
for that.
We're trying to make room for that and just keep that for recycling, because they need it.
Yeah, I understand that. My question was, have we looked into filling that whole parcel to fit their needs?
I've done put in a permit, me and Josh worked on it for the floodplain, and we're filling it now. But part of the reason I'm doing this is the land I was talking about on TLC Lane, on the right, is not belonging to us. The city had a pump station there for
Yeah, I understand that, but I guess I'm looking at the property there that we do own.
It's not gonna be enough room, is what
That's
he's
what I'm
saying,
saying.
even if it gets filled in, because our sanitation, since we've come in, has grown. We took an uptick in the amount of business we're doing there, so we're using a lot of that space, if you drive down there, for the sanitation department.
Yeah, but a lot of the property's not even developed yet, according to the map.
That's a little outdated. Like I said, I can take you guys around and show you exactly what we're doing, why we're doing, and the plan going forward.
It would be nice either way to have that property from the county, where you gas pumps for the old garbage trucks are. I mean, it's about
That's
acre
the
and a
other
half,
reason I'm saying
2
we're trying to
acres
make that
there.
other one, because we don't own that.
It's already
We got
gravel off.
stuff sitting on it already, so.
Mayor,
Be
besides
a good spot for something.
that land by North Middle, is there anything else?
Yeah, so we've looked at a lot, but some of it's $4 or $5 million, so I mean, it's immediate no for us, but I mean, yeah, we've looked at quite a bit, and I know some other council members in the past have been looking at some stuff too,
Me
so.
and Justin and Donnie did.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, in that committee.
I got a question.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is the uptick in garbage at the recycling plant due to boss dumping at the recycling plant?
No, I mentioned the roll-offs, they don't
That
have.
has
I'm just asking, is that causing an uptick with boss dumping on the city dime?
No, the boss is being charged to dump there, so they're not dumping anything on city dime.
But is that the reason for the uptick?
No, no.
Okay.
Where the debris pile out at the airport, you know, for the tornado cleanup, does that belong to the city where that pile was at?
No, that's not city property. We have a usage agreement.
Is there any county property that they're willing to sell?
Well, there was talks, Philip had talked to him at one point, and,
I got a verbal agreement that they would let loose of some of it. And I got it surveyed, took the paper, wouldn't be signed. And then it kind of, we were supposed to have a committee that met on that, to try to look at other options, and I don't know if that was ever, I don't think anybody ever met on it.
Which one was that?
Which lot was that?
That was up on the hill above the wellness park over there at the college.
Yeah, you took me up there and showed me.
We looked at it, we talked to the interstate coal people, we did discuss it.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. It's just gonna be expensive to level it off. Not too sure what's underneath it.
Any-
Nobody at Interstate Coal could even tell us any history, you know, of what's underneath there. You don't know if you're gonna hit
Would that
the
make
tunnel.
your entrance from Fourth
You
Street
don't know.
through tourism? Or would that bring you, no?
That was something that I had started working on, but I quit fooling with it when nothing got moving, because if you try to deal with CSX, you gotta call Florida. Most of the people here that work here, they can't help you, you gotta call their corporate office in Florida.
So-
And I did speak with them a couple of times, but once the interest kind of died down, nobody really seemed like they wanted to go there. I quit fooling with it, so.
Question, would it matter if it was a half a mile outside the city limits? Would it really matter?
I don't think a half mile would. I mean, we wanted to stay close to the city because, you know, we're back and forth all day long, so we don't want to add more cost to the city if we go 2 miles out.
Well, it happened now, but eventually we're gonna be a half mile outside our city limits at some point, somewhere down the road. Somebody's gonna annex. Just say it opens up your, prospects,
I
maybe
still
some
think
lesser
that-
expensive land.
Fourth Street property would work. I know you talked about the transmission line that goes through there. I know you can't build a building underneath that transmission line, but there's a lot of other property out there. If you're looking at a couple of pole buildings, petition off an office in the corner of one, or offices, whatever you need. It just looks like to me, we own an awful lot of property over there that would work well.
I don't think it will. There's several different utilities on there. You've got a storm drain that goes down the center, and then you have a sanitary sewer that also zigzags down through there. And so I think the easement on the transmission line is like 100 feet.
But that's for putting a building.
Putting a building, and the building that we need, if you're gonna go this route, and you need to build a building, you need something that, right now, our guys pull a dump truck in, or a roll-off truck, and they have a apparatus that they've had constructed to raise the bed, because there's not enough room in the ceiling to raise it up to get the factory locked in place. So they have to take a chain and a binder to do that as a safety precaution, so that when they're in there working.
It just looks like an awful lot of property over there at the Fourth Street area to me.
You want to go over there with Philip, over there?
Do you have, when you talk about the sewer line that goes and zigzags through there, do you have the actual footprint of that we can look at?
Okay, he can show you the man cut hose on everything.
Because I know you can't build underneath that transmission
You can't build on
line.
the sewer line either. Normally that's a 12-foot easement.
And were you looking at a couple of pole buildings?
I don't think you can do a pole building. You're gonna have to do it.
Well, or metal structure, yeah. But still a concrete slab and a couple of buildings with office area.
I can tell you what,
$400.
Philip, you
what that
know, you and I
easement's gonna
looked at,
say, it's gonna say agriculture only.
you and I looked at the London Utility Commission building at the water treatment plant. And is that something similar that you would need?
That's what they're gonna need. I mean, I'm in the basement of City Hall, so I'm not looking for a penthouse.
Well, I agree. I mean, I think we need something like that building. Would it be possible if, worst case scenario, if something happened, we could use that building temporarily until we?
Utility commission building? They've got a lot of new equipment right now.
But
They keep a
if it
lot
was
of
just
it
maybe
inside.
for a couple, if we had to.
If we had to, we could. I'd want to make sure we spoke to them, but I mean, we moved across the parking lot when we done the utility commission business. Built that when I was there. And just moving across the parking lot and trying to balance your day-to-day. The one piece of property out there off of 1006 was ideal. We could have done a little remodification to a building out there, and I think it would have been the best because there's 17,000 square feet of building that was there, along with, I think there was 2 vehicle lifts, a front end alignment, all stuff that we utilize right now. I mean, we do all our tire changing.
We had some good properties in mind with our committee. I think one reason we kind of slowed down is because when I talked to the senator at the time, he said it may never happen. At that time, that was their thinking. Right, but at that time, he said 5 years if ever. And then he told me and Justin in Frankfurt, I said, well, then we don't need to sweat over that, let's work on something else.
We're gonna do that section first, because
I know they changed their mind a year ago.
It requires the least amount of disruption to traffic, so they look at it as if they get that open, traffic has an option now of free flow before they start from the south.
Yeah. I'm just saying, 2 years ago, they weren't.
All y'all, if you wanna go and show you.
About the old.
Well, not all of them. If they do all, we'll have to do a special call meeting.
Tomorrow?
What about the old meat tractor property? They're across from Ace Hardware.
Yeah, that would be
10 a.m.?
We talked about that one, the meat tractor.
10 a.m. tomorrow morning?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go.
Was that just too small?
Yeah.
Functionality, I think, is gonna be the biggest thing, and that stream is floods a whole lot.
So they worked for meat tractor for a long time, for London Farm. They've been there for many years.
Of course, another thing that might not be related to right this minute, I don't know, there was some talk earlier in the meeting about the reopening TLC lane across the railroad tracks. Have we started any of that yet, or we just think we have to start that process?
Yeah, we will have to, well, we wanna find out if it's ordinance. If it's closed by ordinance, I'll have to open it by ordinance.
Okay, what I was curious about is I don't know what the grade plan is over there for that new building, but if it's gonna be excess material that's generated there, if that TLC lane was open across the railroad tracks, they could fill their lot over there with their waste. And it'd be a lot easier, it would be a win for the contractor and a win for us, because they wanna get rid of the dirt unless it's needed on site. That would be free fill.
But I do want to say something, that the college isn't looking to break ground until spring of '26.
Yeah. But that's not too far from now.
We are working, we talked to the state on November if they start this project of letting us use some of the land that they bought. It will all depend on, and this is kind of how it was worded to us, is like, if we go to condemnation or if we're kind of in agreement, they'll work with us, but if we complicate it, it's going to make things complicated for them. So they do have some land, but once the project's completely over there, they will take that land from us back. So, it's just according to how bad this is going to get. I mean, that's something we don't know, and they really don't know. They said they're going to try to tell the contractors to not bend the easements that we have, and they'll work with us, but at the same time, they've got to have it, so that leaves our footprint very small there.
When we do find a new place and the new road is built, we'll still own that building though, right?
Yes, the building, and some land right around it.
But not much, not
Right.
storage.
Well, there's 3 acres, we're losing 1.7 of it.
We could still use it for something, though, I'm sure. I mean, once it's all done, I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll be worth pretty.
It'd be worth the money, you can sell it, but it's just not gonna work as a street department.
Right.
Once you go down there and you see what we do, and I take you around, you'll understand a lot better about it.
So which 3 is wanting to go with Philip tomorrow?
Stacy and myself,
So Judd, Stacy, and.
unless somebody else wants to go.
No, you don't.
So that'll be the subcommittee.
Are you buying lunch?
So I just volunteered for a subcommittee.
You did?
Yeah.
As long as it ain't Weaver.
Yeah. So we're going in, where are we meeting at?
I can meet you guys at City Hall if you want, back parking lot.
10 a.m.?
Okay, so on the proposal that the state has sent over, you have seen that, you've seen their numbers. I mean, we've tried. We really, Philip's been in the conversations with them. Again, we even told them to go back and do a turn radius assessment of our equipment, and, they were gonna do that. They went out and pinned it out for them to do the turn radius, and then they just came back and said, well, we feel like it's a fair assessment of what we've done, so they're not doing the turn radius. And I think really what happened there is the utility companies got done. We're pushing to get this project started, and then all of a sudden it moved towards the 229, so now we're starting here, so now all of a sudden, we gotta get this done.
KU's already kind of starting on their end.
Yeah.
The state cleared that bank off, used to be known as Dow Realty Apartments, 229, they've already cleared that bank off for KU, so.
Is there any utilities affected there, Philip, that's going to be relocated? Or do you know?
There might be a little small water line there, maybe some.
I know sometimes they'll include those in with the highway contract. Sometimes they'll do a separate bid
There's
for
some
that.
gravity line there, but I think the changes of the line.
When you drive out through the park, and you guys don't think I'm crazy here, but down by the mill and by the museum, and you can just see where that tornado went all the way over to the fairgrounds. From the museum area and the mill, does the city own all the way over to 229? Or is there private property in
Private
Mercer?
property. If you're facing the museum, looking to the left, there's a field there, that's all private over to 229. But the woods from the museum, a portion of it to the left and everything behind it goes all the way to 229.
And we do, when we acquired that property, it's restricted for the state, so we can't do anything with that other than it be a park.
But I think.
But you see where I was going with that.
Yeah.
But I think the level you're seeing is not park property anyway.
Yeah. If you're talking about the field area there that's near the new shelter house and museum.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to be right there. You'd want to go on farther over toward 229. I wouldn't want to get right in the.
Well, we can, but
Yeah.
we do need to be somewhere where tractor trailers, because we have our own tractor trailers that have to get in and get service plus deliveries. We need to be somewhere we can get access.
That farm was for sale.
It's outside my price range.
Oh, I think anything you're looking at on any of these major roads is going to be, even the meat tractor properties probably.
Like I said, I can show you everything I've looked at. I've worked on this for 16 months.
So do we just need to approve what the state has offered tonight, or?
Oh, I don't think there's any improvement on it, is
I
there?
mean, we know that.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. You can, but
So no
I'm
inflation
gonna have to
increase,
take it
no
or we're going to court.
And that is correct. That's what they said.
That's exactly what they
Well,
said. in the
Yeah,
last
my
meeting.
family's selling some
We're the
property
last
too.
people, we're the kind of last people.
It's kind of like, this is what we're giving you.
Well, I'd make a motion that we accept it with the agreement that they're going to work with us on being able to
Move out.
move out or use.
And, that's the thing, they said so if we're taking this approach, we're gonna accept it, they're gonna pay to have us move, whatever that cost would cost, they'll cover the cost to move the equipment. If we have to rent something, whatever the case may be, they will cover that cost of that.
Does that include payroll?
I did not ask that.
Probably gonna be a long while.
I would say like equipment, or if we got a third-party agency to come in and move, stuff like that, so.
Well, from my experience, any help is better than nothing, because they don't have to give us nothing.
Exactly. So we've got a motion to approve the state's offer.
Second.
Second, do your roll call.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Benj?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
And so we're also needing on the City Plaza, which was started over a year ago, the state did release the $1 million to that project. We are going to be doing we have Stacy who sits on that subcommittee. We're going to need 2 other individuals to fill positions on that subcommittee as well, so we can move forward with that project. So is there 2 people that wants to sit on the City Plaza project?
I would volunteer.
And
I mentioned you.
Volunteer.
Okay,
Stacy, go ahead. No, you
No,
go
you
ahead.
go ahead.
we're leaving,
Okay,
we're leaving you on there.
Don't have to just be 3. You could put somebody on there from the community that knows
Yeah, and we're
about
going
building
to. Me and you
stuff.
talked about that, and we'll
I
do
prefer
that.
to do that. I'm not the Justin don't, or you don't, but
No,
I mean, I don't build,
if
I
I need to
don't
step
build
up
metal
for that, that's
buildings.
fine. If it needs to be someone else, but I volunteer if needed.
We mentioned some names.
So we'll get
so,
David Zalco, we'll get that meeting called, set up with David Zalco.
He's
Get
already on
the
it.
new council member, or the council members up to speed on the City Plaza project. We are asking the state for another $3 million out of this next budget. So we're gonna be meeting with some senators and reps on that as well to help finish funding that project. So we'll get that sent to you guys as well.
Mayor, before we get adjourned, do you have any updates on the positions of making Bobby Day and Ashley permanent positions?
Yeah, so we're gonna put out notice this month, hiring for those positions, and then we'll just go from there. We can go through the interview process like everybody else. Also, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Sherry Jones, who's been with the city for 28 years, she is going to be retiring in December. So we will be filling that position as well, which Sherry has tried to retire when I come into office. We talked to her to stay in a couple more years. She's a great asset, has a wealth of knowledge. She's been a huge help to the girls, but she's ready to retire. So she'll be gone in the end of December. So we will start looking for somebody. That's going to take a long time. The financial director's going to take a long time to replace. So it's going to take a long time to train that individual because there's a lot of knowledge there. So.
Are you hoping to have some names for chief of police and city clerk by next month, August?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we hope to do that. Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second? Roll call.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Benj?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
I'm waiting.